All I see everywhere, and it straight up pisses me off, is people saying, oh, TCU doesn't deserve to be in a playoff. They're not a playoff team and blah, 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 blah. I'm more than likely probably about to go on a tangent, so here's your little warning disclaimer, whatever you want to call it. Ladies and gentlemen, let the games begin. Oh, you thought Tennessee losing to South Carolina? That was a crazy upset? Just wait for the next couple of weeks. If you've been keeping up with college football for a long time, just like myself, you know we are just getting started and more is bound to come. More is bound to come. I should have said more is bound to happen. You get what I'm trying to say. Let me ask you a question. You really believe there's not going to be any more upsets the rest of the season? Come on, man. Like I told you guys in the preview video last week, it's going to happen. The hard part and the tricky part is predicting where and which game it's going to happen in. Chaos will continue to happen because we're now entering what I label as one of the dangerous parts of the season. Because, for example, you got teams like Notre Dame and Auburn, their next game against USC and Alabama, that's their Super Bowl. That's their college football playoff. What have I told you guys time after time after time? A team that has nothing to lose is one of the most dangerous teams out there. And you better believe this. Do you think Auburn is feeling pressure to beat Alabama? Do you think Notre Dame is feeling pressure to upset USC? No, they're not supposed to win. If you played sports, you know what I'm talking about. I've been on both sides of it. I've been on really good teams where we're supposed to win every single game, and I feel the pressure. But at the same time, I've also been on teams that are really bad, and we have nothing to lose. And as an athlete, that was my favorite feeling. Now, don't get me wrong. I like having pressure because it's a privilege to have that pressure, but going into a game knowing, hey, I can just let it loose, that's awesome. Don't get it twisted. It didn't matter if we were supposed to win the game or lose the game. Your boy Matt was going to show up and ball out regardless. But, and I have a big but, like I said, most athletes, they perform better when the expectations aren't there. Another great example of a team that has nothing to lose and everything to gain is Iowa State. And you know who they play? TCU. Whoa, hold on. Did somebody say TCU? I think they did. Oh man, get you a popcorn, get you some snacks, get you whatever for this one, because you're not going to miss out. When it comes to not one of the most polarizing team in the sport of college football at this current moment, it's no other than TCU. TCU is the definition of polarizing. You either think they're a legit contender, or like most people, you think they're straight up frauds and they're lucky to be 11-0. Now, I'm not going to lie to y'all. When they was like 6-0, 7-0, I was in the same boat. I was like, yeah, I don't really think they're too special. They're just getting a couple lucky wins here and there. It was also around that time, right after they was 6-0, 7-0, I started really paying attention to them and watching their games. It was right after the game against Oklahoma State where they barely beat them in double overtime when I started paying attention to them and saying, hey, maybe we got a team here that just knows how to win. I showed you guys this stat in the recap. I'm going to show you again. TCU is the first team to win 7 straight games by 10 points or fewer. What about that? I get it. Most people would say, oh man, Matt, they're so lucky. They're not playing that great of competition. I think otherwise. I think you got a team that just knows how to win. They got the DNA installed in them. Going down the list here, beat a really solid Kansas State team by 10 points. Beat West Virginia by 10 points. Beat Texas Tech by 10 points. Beat Texas really by 14 points. And most recently, beat Baylor in one of the craziest games of the year. Already talked about that last second field goal. What a play that was. I can't believe I saw that live. That had to be a top 10 moment I've ever witnessed. All I see everywhere, and it straight up pisses me off, is people saying, oh, TCU doesn't deserve to be in a playoff. They're not a playoff team and blah, 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 blah. I don't want to scream. I don't want to get too amped up. It's not good for my health, but sometimes I got to. I'm more than likely probably about to go on a tangent, so here's your little warning disclaimer, whatever you want to call it. Let me read you off this comment. This person said, are they worthy of making it with the resume? Maybe, more so than Michigan, but there's no way you can watch that team and think they're one of the best 4 teams in the nation. I honestly can see where you're coming from with that, but at the same time, how could you watch Michigan barely skimmed by Illinois and say they're one of the best 4 teams? How can you watch Ohio State struggle with Northwestern, one of the worst teams in the country, and struggle with Maryland, a terrible... just let me stop there. You get the point. Ohio State and Michigan haven't even looked like top 4 teams themselves. If we're being straight up honest with ourselves, the only team that deserves to be in the playoff is Georgia, and that's it. I tweeted this out, and it's probably my best tweet of all time. I said, after watching football on Saturday, I don't think anybody deserves to be in the playoff. And this also just goes to show you that the people who hate on TCU don't even watch them play. They're straight up hypocrites, because what do a lot of these big time schools like Michigan, Ohio State, Bama, and Georgia say after they struggle barely beating a team? Oh, well, that was a gutsy win. When you don't have your best stuff and you can pull out a win, that's what matters. That's a championship team. But when TCU does it, what does everybody say? Oh, they're fraudulent, they're lucky, they suck, and blah, 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 blah. Make up your mind. How is it impressive that Georgia and Michigan barely skimmed by Missouri and Illinois, but it's not impressive when TCU beats Baylor on the road without, I think it was 3 or 4 of their best offensive players? Nobody wants to talk about all the injuries TCU's currently dealing with, and yet they're still winning these games. Here's my biggest dilemma with this, and it's the only argument I need, and when I say it, you're going to sit there and go, well, dang, I can't argue with that. I want you to really think about this. If Oklahoma or Texas had this same resume and they was 11-0, you know what everyone would be saying, right? Oh, yeah, they should be the number 1 team in the country, or they should be right behind Georgia at number 2. There wouldn't even be an argument or debate about if they should make the playoff or whatnot. It just wouldn't happen. Everyone would be talking about how resilient this Texas team is, how to win all these close games, and same thing for Oklahoma. However, since TCU isn't a big name brand like an Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State, Texas, Oklahoma, they don't get the benefit of the doubt. They're the little guy in the room where it's not good enough to just win these games. Whereas for Texas, if you just win, yeah, you're in. And I want y'all to understand this. When it comes to TCU football, I gotta be the most unbiased person ever. I have no reason to vouch for these guys, but it's just the cold hard facts. So you know what? Hold on. Let's take a look at it. They beat Oklahoma at the time a top 20 team by 30 points, and they could have beat them by 60, and I mean that. I'm not going to give you a lot of credit for beating Kansas because Kansas is a mediocre team. Although Oklahoma, they're in a down year, they do have talent. They then beat Oklahoma State, which is a decent team. After that, beat Kansas State, who is currently ranked. Then, oh, what do you know? They beat Texas 17-10, and like I said, it was really 17-3 on their home field. They embarrassed them. And last but not least, is Baylor a great team? No, they're a decent team. Doesn't matter. They won a game on the road. What do I tell you guys? Not just in college football, but in this life, winners win and losers lose. Do you think it's a coincidence that Texas A&M is always losing these close games? No, because they're losers. They lose. You can't make this stuff up. A winner will always find a way to win. Vice versa, a loser will always find a way to lose. The bottom line and the cold harsh truth is, whether you want to believe this or not, TCU is a dang good team. I'm not going to call them great, and I'm not going to call them elite, but they're dang good. And I'll go as far as saying this. I'm not even going to be one of those sad people who say, oh, if they win out, yeah, you got no choice to put them in. No. I believe they're a top 4 team at this moment. Do they have the talent of an Ohio State, of a Alabama, of a Georgia? No, but as a collected team and unit, they're as good as it gets. I don't think some people quite understand how insane that was for a team to run the ball with, 22 seconds left in the game, and to run the field goal team on, have no penalties, no false starts, and just execute it to perfection. There is NFL teams that can't do that. Let me remind you again, they're also missing a bunch of players, and they're still winning games. Before I end off this video, let me give you a great example, because this just came to my mind. When I was growing up, I played AAU basketball, and if you played AAU, which is also travel basketball, you're going to know exactly what I'm about to get into. You want to know what was one of the hardest teams to beat in AAU? It wasn't the most talented team. It was a team full of white boys that could just shoot. They weren't extremely talented. They couldn't run fast. They couldn't jump high. They weren't even really that great of athletes, but they played well together as a team. The team with a bunch of white boys that can shoot in AAU is one of the most fundamental teams you'll ever play, and it's also one of the most annoying teams to play. That is exactly what this TCU football team is. So for all those people out there that think this TCU team is a quote-unquote fraud, you don't know football. I know this is going to be controversial. I'm very curious. Let me know your thoughts down below. But